Bling Bling. Welcome to the stream. Welcome back to the channel, guys. And today we're going to be doing a little bit of a Marco guide because I've been getting a lot of questions about this deck and how to play it. And you know what? Nobody else seems to be actually putting in effort and time to playing this deck, so I'm going to be the one to do that. So first of all, first things first, we're going to go over the leader. So, Dawn X1, active main, once per turn. Draw one card, then place one card from your hand on the top or bottom of your deck, then give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2k for this turn. So, face value, this card's insane. The leader ability is really strong. It's really nice. I love the amount of flexibility that you can use with this leader ability. And and for those of you who are, fairly new, so I'd say around set 5 to 6 starting out. Power reduction used to be one of the first means of removal in the game, because if you reduce something, it's just stagnant like that for the rest of the turn. Whereas cost removal is also really strong, but it's tied to mainly being able to KO it at the same time reducing it. But with specific cards, usually on play effects. But if you reduce something by power, then that opens up a lot more attacks to being able to rip that shit apart. Say like Lucci, for example, right? If I use my leader ability, I can swing a freaking pudding at it. He has to give me a 1k, and then I swing my leader at it, which is 6k attacker. Now he has to drop 2k 1k. And why this is so strong is because getting rid of cards in your opponent's hand, I feel like, is a lot stronger than just completely getting rid of it. Because sure, you completely get rid of it, no questions asked, no contest, but they still have more plays to do in their hand, or they can still work off of what they have in their hand. In this case, I'm putting up a bit of a skewed debate of, you can give me 1k to save this from 4k swing, knowing that I have the opportunity to swing at it again, which and that's all off of just one Dawn. For one Dawn, I can probably get rid of something just as easy, or just as well, if not easier, than if Lucci went fucking Tempest Kick -3, and then play a 4-cost Lucci to get rid of it. That was 2 cards. One of them, which is a very key component to cost reduction, whereas I just go Dawn on leader, -2, set up, I'd filter a card, and then it's now I swing at it until you stop giving me cards, or you just let it go. And then I can use the rest of my Dawn for more plays. So it's really strong. It's also why, I run 4 copies of Otama, because, it's just fucking 1 Dawn, -2. Still one of the best 2Ks in the game. Because, -2 is just so strong and heavy. And at the same time with the guy, this is my list that I'm working on right now. Jozu feels really strong. Being able to recur, a Searcher, a 2k, another unit, a Pudding, an Otama, 2k, blocker, etc. Being able to recur that and then bounce a 6-cost or less is really strong. Especially for decks that, like Bonnie, for example, right? A perfect curve for me is alright, they play a blocker out, alright, Atmos, bounce it. Okay, they play another card. Alright, Jozu, or swing with Atmos, they rest something. Alright, Jozu, return my Atmos, and then bounce another card. So now their hand's fat, and it's they have nothing on the board, and then that's usually when you can get a crazy pudding off, because it's unless they find a way to, shit out a bunch of cards on the board, they're not going to be able to play around pudding. That's the thing. We make it hard for them to play around this silly fucking card, because we're just constantly putting cards back in their hand. Another strong card to mention is Rayleigh. I have no idea why people don't think this card is good, or why it's so cheap right now, because this card is insane. He reads, on play, choose up to 2 of your opponent's characters until the end of your opponent's next turn. Give one character -3 power and another -2 power till the end of your opponent's turn, by the way. So this is a permanent minus. So you not only get rid The rest of the skill after this, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a power of 3k power or less. So not only are you, clearing something at the same time you play this, but you're mitigating their offense so much because, again, like I said, minusing power is just really strong. And, in a game that is so focused on, countering at the right time and, it being the only way to actually block moves, being able to have, one of your opponent's characters -3 into the end of turn, so say like a Moria or anything, for example, that 9k swing is now a 6k swing. So if they just try to bear swing it, that's just 6k. That's a 2k or 2 1ks. That's a lot better than just eating a 9k or dropping your whole hand for it, right? And then on top of that, this also combos with leader ability, because say your opponent has like a 8k body on the board, right? Use Marco's ability to minus it by 2, so now it's a 6. Play Rayleigh, minus it by 3, now it's under the 3k threshold, and then you just pop it. You can also do this with 10k bodies. Use your leader ability, play an Otama, play Rayleigh, boom, gone, eviscerated, evaporated, decimated. You get the idea. So, being able to work around your leader ability and use these other cards are really strong. I'm also running Dragon because he feels insane just having that extra, pressure tool in the deck that you can also cheat off of from Sanji is insanely strong. There's just so many opportunities to where, and a lot of people like to run Whitebeard, which is understandable, but the thing with Whitebeard is, although he's a 9 cost, which actually matters, and 10k body, he is a sitting duck at the same time. He gives your leader plus 2k for the turn, but the plus 2k almost doesn't matter in this meta because black decks are just shitting out Morias left and right. So Moria can still swing into you and you still have to drop 3k for it, so that didn't matter. And then there's aggro decks such as Calgara and Zoro. They also don't fucking care because they go really wide and swing really high at the same time, or they just poke you down. We're not a deck that, just gets free fucking hand advantage just by existing like black does. We actually get rid of it. The only recursion we have is Jozu. And like Sanji's peel-off if you see it. So, by the time it hits endgame, you usually don't have that many cards in your hand to, protect yourself using Whitebeard's plus 2k. And then it's like, even if you do protect yourself at the end of that, they probably have a way to get rid of Whitebeard. It's either Red Rocked, fucking Ice Aged, fucking double TK'd, or stunned somehow, some way. Or they play a card that's like, if I don't win next turn, I just lose. Like if they play 9 cost Zoro, it's like, Whitebeard did nothing. He saved me one swing. Crazy, right? It didn't matter. So because of that, I kind of just went on the route of Dragon because at least he can he's an immediate 9k rusher. He puts 2 Rested Dawn on something so it can be on your leader, which you can now use your leader ability for free on 8 Dawn curve because he gave you 2 Dawn. So you can minus something, clear, and still swing at the same time. Dragon is just so good. But yes, the main contingents of this deck is I like to see it more so as a mid-rangey control deck that, it has many different options that you can do on the fly or on command, mainly because of your filter and your leader ability. The leader ability is so good, dude. -2 and you filter, that's mid-range god. It's so strong. So your main game plan is usually to control the board, play for board, get to late game to where you can start slamming your big bodies, comboing out your big bodies using Sanji as well. Really strong. In terms of black matchups, say Lucci for example, we actually play pretty well into them. A lot of people don't think so, but we do. First off, we have an unkillable blocker, unless they still run 6 cost Brook, which lame-os. No matter how many times they pop this, we can always bring it back by just tossing a Whitebeard card, which is a little over half our deck anyway. And We have Sanji that can shit out a big body, so now we get two big bodies out at the same time. So unless they have the nuts reduction, which sometimes they fucking do, is like Ice Age, TK, Leader Swing, Lucci, 7 Dawn play. Now that didn't matter. Rant's done. But yeah, but still, being able to put out two big bodies at the same time is hard for them to deal with in general on a normal case basis. And being able to constantly bounce their Luccis is really strong. A lot of people are afraid to bounce Lucci because there's like, oh, they can just play Lucci and wipe our board again. Okay. So you mean to tell me if I play Atmos, they have to give me another 3+ cards in order to get rid of my board? And it's probably like a card or two. Mostly just one card because they just got rid of it previously. I will take that any day because they just burnt cards out of their hand to get rid of this, which means they have less options to get rid of my bigger bodies when I get to there, right? Makes sense? Makes sense. We're running 5-cost Ace because he is able to cheat out an Atmos. He's able to cheat out Marco. Screw it. Jozu, Kingdu, Izo as well. And we're okay with doing that because we have Jozu. Jozu is a very strong card. Especially in the black matchups, he can bounce Sabos, he can bounce Lucci, like just having, you know, an avenue to soft remove a card, because bounce is, you know, bouncing and bottom decking is just like an uninteractable fucking mechanic in the game, unless you're Hawkins, because Hawkins is the only one in the game that can actually get around shit like that. But besides that, not only are you recurring like a 2K, a searcher, or just another option to use to abuse, he's a 7K body and you got rid of some of the tempo on their board. Again, this is a mid-range deck that, you know, excels at tempo and controlling, and that's basically what you want to do. That, and he's a 6 cost too, so it's still like he's hard to get rid of cost-wise, he's hard to get rid of power-wise. He's just a really strong unit, and he's a strike unit, which not many units can interact with strike. I know a lot of cards interact with special and slash, but he's strike. Not many things can deal with it. It's like not nitpicky. It's like a niche attribute, but it's a strong attribute nonetheless. The Sanji Pilafs are usually, used for draw power. You know, keeping up on hand size, which is why we run it at 4 copies. I was actually considering running Thank You for Loving Me because it's still technically a draw, except it's 1 Dawn and it sets up our top or bottom. But in a lot of cases, just getting the raw draw 3 is just too strong, especially out of life. And it's like, oh man, we're back in the game, you know? Whereas this is just a draw. I'm still working on different builds and stuff. I'm definitely still looking at this card, especially when we get the STs, which I'll go into about later, because a lot of people keep asking me about ST list. I'll get you guys your list, okay? Let me cook. I'm still in the fucking kitchen. I just got the seasoning, alright? Give me some time. 3-cost Dopey is a really strong card in this deck because we're able to set up our top end, which helps us curve out our, especially if we're going first. It's an insane card going first because it helps us curve out our, our future turns. Say on Dawn 3, turn 2, we play this Dopey. It's like, okay, cool. I have a 5-cost Ace in my hand. Let me set up this Atmos. Then the following turn after I draw, so that I can just hard play this Ace, play the Atmos, bounce something, which is really strong. So now I have a 5 and a 4 on the board, a 5, 6 and a 4, 5 on the board. I just got rid of one of their tempo pieces, and I have 3, including Dopey. So we got Dopey, Atmos, Ace on the board. Like huge, right? Really strong. And then the following turn, it's like, okay, maybe I didn't see the Atmos, but I saw Kingdu, or I saw Jozu. What we can do is we can still swing 5k with Jozu, or we can just use Kingdu's active main ability to be a 6k attacker, swing with it, play Jozu, bounce this back to our hand, and get rid of the card that they just played that turn. So now we have like one of these cards, and now we have a 5-cost Ace, a Dopey, and a Jozu on the board. Beefy units, beefcake units. And then after that, it's just child's play. It's like, all right, hard play Sanji into a dragon or a Rayleigh or another Jozu or a blocker or a setter, so reset our top end. Like, the deck is super flexible. It has a lot of combo potential. It's really strong. I highly encourage people to check this deck out. I feel like its only main weakness is just, you know, high heavy aggression, such as like Calgara, Reiju, and Zoro. But Zoro is actually doable to an extent because we have many ways of mitigating their attacks, so like bouncing their choppers, using Atmos and Jozu. We have Rayleigh to help mitigate their swings. We have Rush too. Don't forget to swing at Zoro too. I know it's hard because they got to board off one Dawn, but they still gotta die. Calgara is a little bit easier in a sense to where if we just keep bouncing their cards back to hand, they have to keep ripping life to, you know, build up a whiteboard in which, oh, look at that, this card exists. Pudding is like, get rid of that, put it back in the deck, draw 5 bricks, and say GG. Reiju's kind of just the same as Reparable Law. It's just a high roll deck. If they see the nuts, they saw the nuts. They probably beat you. And they said it's like, man, whoo, GG close game. It's like, it wasn't. But sure, yeah. You know, they see all their Porsche EGG combos, and then they Black Maria. It's like, yeah, they saw it. Variance loss. It's fine. Otherwise, you know, BY Luffy is not that bad actually. They can't really do anything about your big bodies unless they Ice Age Rocket Luffy, but that takes like a portion of their turn in order to do that if they still run the Ice Ages in their deck. Black Luffy is actually not that bad. A lot of people keep saying it's bad, but it's not. If you can control their board, they're a pretty slow deck and they only can really get rid of one thing at a time. So, and we, you know, shit out a board just as much. So yeah, just going wide against Black Luffy is pretty fine, and then putting them, you know, Pudding's an all-star. She should be at 3, to be honest. I just don't know where the space is. But yeah, like most of these decks is just like, do your normal thing, putting them, and you're fine most of the time. Only time you're not fine is when you don't see your 10 2Ks against, you know, any deck, and then they start swinging 6s, and it's like, man, am I really gonna drop 2 cards to take this? People usually take it, and it's like, man, I'm getting beat down. That's why I run the Bad Manners kick, so we can get rid of bricks just in case we do brick, which we only run it's 6, 10, 14. We only run 14 bricks, which isn't that bad. It's actually really good. And then 2 Bad Manners to make the bricks counter. So really, it's only 12 bricks and a, you know, skewed way. But I guess rule of thumb, since a lot of people ask me what the game plan is, when it doesn't really have a set game plan, it's not linear like Lucci, but you know, try to get off a 5 or mulligan for 5 cost ace and or Sanji. Try to get off an ace combo as soon as possible. You know, play a good mid-range game, control the board. Once you get to late game, you want to start dropping all your big boys because they can't deal with all of them. They can't. Unless you're Himothy Himtholomew. Then they'll get rid of all your big bodies, and you'll just sit there like, wow, they just had it. And you know what? They had to have it to get rid of it, you know? Let me know if this is a shitty-ass guide in the comments section below. I wish I was better at it, but, like, honestly, like, the deck, it's hard to give a guide on a deck that is just so flexible that you kind of can just, you know, pivot your game plan at any moment, which is why I love it so much, because it reminds me of Red-Green Law. But at the same time, it's like there's no, you know, set thing to do against most decks. It's kind of just, you know, just do your own thing, chill, and just be reactionary. That's what I love about the deck. Reactionary deck. Yes, if you guys enjoyed the video, please let me know in the comment section below, alongside the earlier comment of if I'm shitty at doing this or not. It's been a while. But yes, thank you guys for the support, and I hope to catch you guys in the next video. Peace.